This is the regular meeting of the Southfield City Council, September 30th, 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Council President Mandelbaum.
Present.
Council Pro Tem Banks.
Present.
Councilman Bragwell. Councilman Cruz.
Present.
Councilwoman Haynes. Present. Councilman Hicks.
Present.
Councilwoman Hull.
Here.
Council President, we have a quorum.
If everyone can please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we get to our appointments, I just want to make two housekeeping notes. The first is on our agenda, we have item G under the consent agenda. That item is being pulled. Consent agenda item G is being pulled. It needs some additional information. Also, I know that there was a thought that we were going to have some school board representatives at our meeting this evening. Unfortunately, we're unable to make that happen this evening, but we are working towards it, and we will hopefully have that done, have that completed in a very near future meeting. Next, we will go to our appointments.
Ms. Parker is a manager, currently a manager, and she's has some substantial experience in leadership, and I think she's a very worthy and very capable member of the Total Living Commission. And Madam Council, I would like to have a motion to have her appointed, please.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move that we approve the appointment of Ms. Helena Parker to the Total Living Commission.
All right, it has been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, seconded by Councilman Cruz, to appoint Helena Parker to the Total Living Commission with the term expiring September 30th, 2027. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will now have our city clerk swear you in.
Ms. Parker is being reappointed to the Total Living Commission this evening, so we'll just be presenting her certificate, not swearing her in.
Is it an appointment or a reappointment?
It should be an appointment, the initial appointment. Okay. There must be a clerical mix-up, but she's been appointed, so we can just proceed with the process of appointing her. We can clear up the documentation here.
It should be an appointment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, her certificate that was prepared in advance this evening states it's a reappointment. So what we'll do, we'll give her another certificate and correct it to it showing that she's being initially appointed. So
Okay.
we could do that. We could do that in our office.
All right, but we'll still swear her in right now?
So what we have today, it says, City of Southfield, Helena A. Parker is hereby appointed to the Southfield Total Living Commission by the City of Southfield, by the City Council, Southfield, Michigan, issued this 30th day of September in the year 2024. Congratulations, Ms. Parker.
Miss Parker, if you don't mind, we'd all like to shake your hand if you don't mind coming up.
Thank you for reminding me. The other two are.
All right, and our next appointment is an appointment of a Department of Public Works Director, and HR is doing that presentation.
Good evening. On behalf of City Administration, I'm pleased at this time to recommend the appointment of Abdul Siddiqui to the position of Director of Department of Public Works. Mr. Siddiqui has been performing the responsibilities of Acting Director since July 2024. Abdul holds a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from the University of Michigan and is extremely close to completion of a master's degree in Global Engineering Leadership from Ohio State University. He also holds all other necessary credentials and certifications for the position of DPW Director, and we recommend an appointment to Management Group Grade 411 with the same rights and benefits as afforded to other Management Group employees.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move that we approve the appointment of the Director of Public Works to Mr. Abdul.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilwoman Banks, for the appointment of the Department of Public Works Director of Abdul Siddiqui. Any questions?
Despite those Ohio State titles.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll have our city clerk swear him in.
Repeat after me, sir. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the city charter
and the
for
city charter
of the City of Southfield,
of the City of Southfield,
and that I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office of
the duties of the office of
Director, Department of Public Works,
Director, Department of Public Works,
in and for the City of Southfield, County of Oakland,
in and for the City of Southfield, County of Oakland,
and the State of Michigan,
and the State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Abdul Siddiqui.
Abdul Siddiqui.
Thank you. Subscribed and sworn to me before this day, the 30th day of September 2024.
And Abdul, we do want to shake your hand, but we're going to wait until our next motion as well.
Do you want to give him an opportunity to say a few words?
Let's
have-
do this motion, and then we'll
Okay.
let him.
Mr. President,
Okay.
Yes.
I move that we also approve Mr. Siddiqui, is that right? I hope so.
Yeah.
To the appointment of City Constable.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilwoman Banks, to appoint Mr. Abdul Siddiqui as a city constable. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, council. I look forward to working with all of you and serving the residents of this great city.
Thank you. Why don't you come around and
And then we'll do this.
we'll give you proper congratulations.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
or affirm
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the City Charter of the City of Southfield,
and the City Charter of the City of Southfield,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
perform the duties of the office
perform the duties of the office
of City Constable
of City Constable
in and for the City of Southfield,
in and for the City of Southfield,
County of Oakland,
County of Oakland,
and State of Michigan,
and State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Subscribed and sworn to before me this 30th day of September 2024. Congratulations.
Thank you. Next, we move on to our communications portion of our meeting. The Southfield City Council has established the following rules of procedure for all speakers. No speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks upon any officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official that is unrelated to the manner in which the officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official performs his or her duties. No person shall use abusive or threatening language towards any individual when addressing the city council. Any person who violates this section shall be directed by the presiding officer to be orderly and silent. If a person addressing the council refuses to become silent when so directed, such person may be deemed by the presiding officer to have committed a breach of the peace by disrupting and impeding the orderly conduct of the public meeting of the city council and may be ordered by the presiding officer to leave the meeting. If the person refuses to leave as directed, the presiding officer may direct any law enforcement officer who is present to escort the violator from the meeting. The council may not provide responses to public comments during the meeting. If you have provided your contact information when you signed up for public communications, the city will provide a more formal response to you in the near future. Each speaker will have 3 minutes, and I ask that everyone please give the proper respect to the speakers, and there should not be any noise coming from the audience. Our first speaker is Ronald Horsley.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Doing
Good,
well.
good. Well, see, we got 2 minutes and 59 seconds, so let's get it on. How's everybody doing back there? My name is Ronald Horsley. This is my counterpart.
Anthony Mockin, Southfield resident, 23152.
We're here on behalf of our mentoring program, Southfield Esquires Mentoring Program Incorporated. We're a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization. We prepare our young men in our program for 3 areas. once they leave our program to go to college, to the military, or to pursue a vocation. The reason we're here tonight is because we have a dilemma in which we are restricted in a certain capacity or form of generating funds to revenue to support our program in the form of a raffle or anything that from the state of Michigan would be considered gamble church.
Item number one, and that's it. It has to do with the date, time, and place of the event. It appears that we have to put the cart before the horse, since you didn't give any guidelines that we could find on what you found acceptable to raffle. So if we go and lay out money for a facility, submit our package, and you come back and say no, then we may be out of the deposit, and we're not in the habit of losing money. So do you have to have the place already secured to submit the package?
Part two of that is, we have a form here from the state of Michigan where we have to be duly recognized by you as the city council so that we can operate in the city of Southfield and hold fundraisers. This form must also be voted on and approved by you as the city council. That's the dilemma that we're facing.
If I may, Council President, what I'll do is I'll get the gentleman's information. I need to look at the ordinance because I know you can't hear me. I said what I need to do is get their information and see what exactly they did, because I know it's been done before where they come to the city, yeah.
Yeah.
But just, I need to get the information and
So
I'll talk to them.
There's a number of organizations that do come before us that want to do raffles, that don't have this problem that you're speaking of. So I have your information. I will give it to our city attorney, and she will be in touch with you.
Well, the state of Michigan has given us an ID number, so we have to go follow a lockstep with what they want, and we've already been advised we cannot have anything until we complete all these steps.
Yeah, so our city attorney will help you out.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. Have a good evening.
We appreciate any other information you have about your organization. At least I would, for sure.
You can follow us. I got it. My time's up. You can follow us. We have a website, www.southfieldesquires.org. www.southfieldesquires.org. We're also on Facebook at Southfield Esquires Mentoring Program Incorporated, and we're on Instagram at Southfield Esquires 18.
Thank you very much.
I have it. We'll make sure everyone has it. All right. Our next speaker is Sonia Simpson Gardner.
Okay. Good evening. I am coming to you guys. I've actually come numerous times. I remember quite a few of the city council members. I'm Sonia Simpson Gardner. I am a resident in Southfield, Michigan, and I've been here for quite some time. I am going to sum up my story since I have 3 minutes. I came to you guys before. I had an incident in 2016 where I, as a mandated reporter, reported a pedophile that was friends with some police officers in the city of Southfield. Instead of helping me, I was harassed, severely harassed, where I lost my job. I was not able to find employment. My house was burglarized, tires flattened, animals left in front of my house. Came to the city council numerous times, and you guys have done nothing. And unfortunately, nothing has changed. I am still experiencing the exact same thing. And instead of helping me, the city council, or the city of Southfield, in my opinion, has stood up or worked with the police department, and I am continuing to be harassed. So I have come before you to let you know that since this is continuing, I am going to do my due diligence to make sure this does not happen to me or any other residents in the city of Southfield. I've already done my research to know Southfield, the city, is majority black, the police department is majority white, and I have went before you letting you know that there is corruption, including them impersonating the FBI agents, impersonating the city of Southfield chief, or the chief of the police department, and each time I try to make a report or do anything about it, I've actually been stopped where you guys have not listened to me. So my information has been provided, but I'm letting you know what I'm doing different this time is submitting this information to every single person, entity, or organization that I can to make sure something is done so no one has to experience what I have experienced. But I am going to let you know that I have a very close relationship with God, and I continue to pray. And due to the fact that you didn't help me, I've still continue to pray for everybody, including the police department. But I wanted to share that all I did when I originally came was ask you guys to help, and you didn't help. But God was successful in allowing me to keep my home, despite everything that happened to me, and allowed my daughter to get a full academic ride to the University of Michigan, where everything was paid for. So I just want you guys to know that nothing has stopped. I've asked very nicely for help. All I've asked for is just a meeting, just so you can investigate or see what's going on. But that has been denied, and you keep telling me that nothing is going on and your police department is on the up and up. So long story short, I appreciate your time. You're going to see a lot of me. And as these things continue, I'll bring it before you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Stacy Jackson.
Good evening, Stacy Jackson, Southfield resident. I'm here today to talk about infrastructure issues. During the last city council meeting, we heard from our elected officials that shared that they had at one point investigated or looked into grant funding for sewer line connections to help buffer the costs for residents. The concern that I have is that from 2016 to September 9th, 2024, there has been no communication or feedback to the residents, formal, informal, email, text message, or by phone, regarding that. For those who are unfamiliar, in 1998, the city adopted and published Ordinance 1433, which was the first ordinance relative to septic tanks. Of course, residents were in arms, much like we are today. They flooded council, and they were given a pledge that they would be able to repair, replace, or tap in. The one mainstay about Ordinance 1433 and Ordinance 1571, which was adopted years later, is that every 3 years, every septic system is mandated and required to be inspected every 3 years from 1998. So let's do the math really quickly. That's 2001, 2004, 2007, 2010, 2013, 2016. 2016 would have made 6 inspection cycles for a total of 18 years. In 2016, the residents who are now new, or were new, this septic tank issue was rolled out. From that time to 2016, the city failed to do its due diligence to work in concert with Oakland County to make sure these inspections were being done. So if the city was to go back to look at inspections for the homes in Southfield, they will see that the majority of those only started in 2016. It is my hope that the city does more to look into grant funding to support these infrastructure issues, that they do more to get group pricing for those impacted, and most certainly that we continue to think about those other communities on the other side who have undergone infrastructure repairs, whose basements now flood with raw sewage every time it rains. My hope is that you do more for your communities.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Keith Harris.
Keith Harris. I want to say this was such a productive weekend. Me and my wife, we've been all throughout Detroit, all over Oakland County. We got the approval of Karen McDonald, Lenny Taylor. We're going to bring Lloyd Cruz and hopefully you, Mr. Hicks, on board. We started our Oakland County Unity in a Community program. This program is to bridge a divide between black and brown men with the police department. We don't want the police department to see us as threatening. I've heard certain members in this council say black men were threatening. That is not true. Don't judge us by our tone. But what I want, not none of y'all, matter of fact, it wasn't none of y'all, but what I am saying here, where we're going today is a new era. You know, there's a new police force coming about. I love Chief Barron. Chief Barron don't talk at us, he talked to us. You know that gun incident that just happened in the Southfield Public School? Guess what? He said if you see something, say something. That young man who seen it, he said it. He spoke up. That was a nonviolent incident where a young black man spoke up. And we got this wonderful school resource officer. I love this young fella. He lives in Southfield. He talks to you. He talks at you. He's building relationships with young black men in Southfield. We have an opportunity to bridge this gap between the police department and black and brown men. We can do this if we work together. Karen McDonald said she loved it. Lenny Taylor is helping push it. I just heard an elected official speak over the weekend. I'm just going to say her name, Wendy Webster Jackson. She says she wants to have a fundraiser at the gun store. She wants to do a fundraiser for more violence, not less violence. We have an opportunity to enroll all of y'all in on this, to bring our communities together. We worked together. We got rid of the Airbnbs in our community. We brought peace there. We got, believe it or not, all of our aftercare homes. And I love what the chief said. By y'all community working together along with the other communities, we done something. We changed something. This program can work. I got a group of young black men who are ex-felons. Everybody is saying they see a new police department, not a violent police department, a police department that is trying to change for the better. I love where we're going with this. It's a chance to, like I said, to bring us together. If we can get the council on board, especially our young African-American men up here, we can do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Myron Thomas.
Hello, my name is Myron Thomas. I'm a city resident. I've been a resident of Southfield since about 2001, and I've owned a home since about 2011. And I'm here to say that I've spoken to you 4 times. I did receive, I did want to acknowledge that I did receive the emails that I did get back from Council President and Councilwoman Hayes. And I did come up here to discuss the ordinances, and outside you did mention that there was going to be a meeting on October the 10th at 3 p.m. Regarding some of these things. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that I did get an email back in response from the city. May be too late for me, but maybe not too late to make changes to how the ordinances are written as well as how they are enforced. You know, as a result, you got to remember Southfield was enacted or created in 1958, you know, and I had to do some research to find some information that said, you didn't want to be a part of Detroit. So Southfield was actually created to prevent the annex of the residents who lived in the Southfield area from being a part of Detroit, 1958. And as a result of the 67 riots, as a result of the flight out from Detroit into the city of Southfield, ordinances were created in 1975. So I want to make sure that that's a paramount, that a lot of ordinances were created as a result of an influx of a demographic into this community. And ordinances were created to constrict and restrict certain uses of property, people's property. So I'm just mentioning that because I had to do the research before I even came up here to say that. I didn't know. I had no clue. I had no clue about the septic tank except for, you know, my mom has a septic tank and she had to do this septic stuff, and luckily she was able to not have to connect because her bill is $20-some. My bill was $126 for the same amount of time. So that's the impact of requiring people to connect to septic. Now, I can talk about the other stuff I talked to you guys about, but we've already discussed that more than enough times for me to mention that. So I just wanted to acknowledge that I got there, and I should be there at that meeting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Pamela Gerald.
Good evening, Council. I'm going to just say something real quick, and then I'm going to change my tune based on what I was going to say. I have a 42-year history, almost 43-year history with this city, and never once have I ever seen a point in time where we don't have minutes on the website for these council meetings. We are going into October, and we don't have meetings from January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and now we're going into October. Get it together and get it right, and put those agendas out there. If you don't have all the pages, don't just put one page out there and then you're constantly coming out there. Put it all out there. We're willing to wait if we get the right thing. Now, I want to get to what's really important. I'm not going to allow someone to come up here and talk about my police chief, my police department, and this city that I love so much. I'm still a taxpayer here, and I'm a taxpayer in another city. Now, I'm listening to this 2016 issue that was presented before you. The ones that were not here, that's not familiar with this rhetoric, go back and watch the council meetings. There's always something else to it and not what's being presented. Now, if you don't know, then you need to ask somebody. And I know, because I was a recipient of the disrespect that one of those speakers gave to me and to my husband. I did my research too, and the police didn't do anything. So now if you want to put it all out there, since you made me a recipient to your trouble, I will present it. But I'm encouraging and asking you, council, don't make any decisions until you get all the facts. And I'm mainly speaking to the ones that were not here during that time. So if you want to know what happened, if you want to know specifically which meeting, I will tell you. But I am sick and tired of people getting up here talking about stuff that makes absolutely no sense and that's wrong. And lastly, the city doesn't have anything to do with septic tanks. That is the county. The city has nothing to do with septic tanks. And what you should do is talk to some of these realtors, because there is a thing called disclosure when you sell a house. When you sell a house, you say it has a septic tank, and you say that the county requires that you get it inspected every 3 years. So stop coming up here with your lies. This is a podium for the people, not
Your
campaigning.
time is up. Thank you. Do want to address a couple of the speakers and give some answers to some things that were said, to things that we can answer. I know that for the first speaker, our city attorney did speak to them, and hopefully they are set, and she will follow up with them as necessary. Mr. Thomas spoke, and as he mentioned that, he did bring some complaints to the council about the ordinances, and it will be taken up next week by the legislative committee, and hopefully, at least they'll be reviewed. We're not making any promises, but at least we'll be reviewing the ordinances that he highlighted. It is on. We had a speaker who had some complaints about the police department. We did receive an email. There was a letter that was sent to the council. We did receive an email from our police chief who did his own independent investigation when he came to the city. An investigation was also done by Oakland County Sheriff's Department, and there was no wrongdoing found. I would encourage that resident who spoke that should she still have some complaints, maybe since the Southfield Police Department did 2 investigations, Oakland County did an investigation, found no wrongdoing, maybe the state police would be the next appropriate body to do an investigation into the complaints. We also had a speaker about the septic tanks. The city did receive a communication from a resident that watches the meetings, and I just want to read the comments that were made, and then I'll have our city administrator address some of the other comments. But this comment was, again, somebody who's watching all our meetings, and the comment was, I don't really, and I'm going to read it word for word, I don't really understand the ongoing septic tank complaints in communications. In 2001, I considered purchasing a house in the Beechwood area on Nancy Avenue that had a septic tank. I went to the Southfield Building Department and requested deed restrictions, subdivision regulations, and spent time talking with the gentleman behind the counter. He advised me on failures of septic tanks in the area due to tree roots and costs to connect to the city sewer. I was so impressed with the gentleman that I purchased a house in Southfield, but not one with a septic tank. All this to say the information on septic tanks was readily available before purchasing the house. So there is information out there, but Mr. Zorn, if you can address some of the other comments that were made about grant funding and inspections, please.
We do have an ordinance that homes that are on septic be inspected every 3 years. There are private inspectors. If your septic system is functioning and working, if it's being maintained, you can continue to use it. If it is not working properly, you have 1 or 2 options. You can either rebuild it or connect to the city sewer system. There are roughly three small parts of the city that don't have immediate access, and we hear about that from time to time. Those folks are on septic. They need to continue to maintain their system. But back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the city spent $38 million building what we refer to as the West End sanitary sewer system. The system, when it was originally put in, the enforcement was not as rigorous. People were still working with their septic systems. We allowed people to do that. When we hit the Great Recession, as the market was crashing, the enforcement was rather relaxed. We dealt with the immediate crisis. When I started here, we had what we called the Dirty Dozen and the 50-50. Those were systems we knew that had failed, that were beyond repaired. We worked with those people. In 2014, as market values came back, we put in place a plan that every 3 years were inspected. At that time, we had roughly 1,800 homes still not connected. Today, that number is about 960 homes not connected. So we've made substantial progress as a community. Also, in that point, I forget the exact year, but we dropped the tap rate. When the system was put in, there were 2 fees that were charged. You paid on your water a ready-to-serve fee if you were if you still had a septic system. We dropped the tap fee we took it down to $5,000. When originally went in, it was to escalate $100 each year as a way of those homeowners paying and helping retire the debt on the $38 million. Regarding grants, I'm just going to be real clear. Septic systems are considered a private function. In current legislation, we don't have a way to use state revolving loan funds or that to help people make those private connections. Our job is to build the sanitary sewer, which is in place. Regarding, and I'll use this, there has been some blurring of the lines of what is public and private. And we see that in the lead copper rules, the water service lines. We were successful in receiving a grant to help San Marino connect to our water supply system. So in the lead copper rules, with the inspection of your lines, it's the first time what has been considered historically a private function. The average septic connections, some of these can be 6,000, 7,000, and we've seen them go as high as 13,000, 14,000. And so they can be big ticket items. Southfield is very aggressive. We have a loan program to help you connect. You're hard pressed to find another city that operates. I've not yet found one that operates a loan program, or if you're income eligible, that'll be interest-free deferred, where we help you with those connection and tap costs. So I think we're doing a lot. We do watch for the grants. Perhaps had the second infrastructure bill been passed, maybe there would have been some different level of assistance in that legislation. We periodically talk to Eagle, what's out there. Eagle recently introduced a loan program real similar to what we're already operating for other parts of the state. But the state's primary focus is on building sanitary systems first, then getting the private homeowner to connect their system. I agree with PG's comments about the realtors doing disclosure. During the foreclosure crisis, when the banks were selling the properties, they never lived in the homes. They weren't aware of some of the conditions. So they got they got away from that level of disclosure. But it was in the public record. Those entities that had home inspections came into the building department, those records were available. Yes, this address is on septic. No, it's not. But the banks were sloppy during the foreclosure crisis with disclosure, and legally they never occupied the property.
Okay, thank you. And then the last speaker that I wanted to address spoke about minutes. This evening, we actually are approving 2 sets of minutes, and we are working with our clerk's office to put as many minutes as quickly as we can on our agendas to make sure that those are available to the public. In the meantime, if you do need unapproved or draft minutes, they are available at the clerk's office as well. Madam Clerk, I don't know if do you have anything to add to that, or?
No, I concur with what you have expressed.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Can I just make a statement, please? Sure. And it's simply, when we come through public comments and we hear these things and people email us and everything, you may only hear from one of us because we speak as one voice. So don't expect all 7 of us, the mayor and everybody, to respond all the time. We talk to each other and we come up with an idea or conclusion, and we're just here to serve. So I didn't want anybody to feel disenfranchised by the fact that, oh, well, I emailed Lloyd Cruz, or I emailed Ari Mandelbaum, or whomever. or the mayor and say, nobody's listening to you. Yes, we are. So I just wanted to make that point today. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our presentations portion of our meeting. Mr. Planner.
Good evening. We have Ms. Suzanne Hanna, our sustainability planner, who's going to introduce the first item.
Good evening, Council. Suzanne Hanna, Sustainability Planner with the City of Southfield. Today, I'm going to go through some sustainability updates very quickly. I do have a guest speaker for you as well, and I'll introduce her shortly after these next few slides. The first program that I'd like to acknowledge is the Charging Smart program. The City of Southfield has been awarded a bronze designation for the Charging Smart program, which adds to another sustainability credential for the City of Southfield. It is a technical assistance program that is funded by the Department of Energy. We had about a 9-month period to assess various policies, strategies, planning efforts regarding electric vehicle adoption and EV charging stations. And I'm proud to say that Southfield is the first city in the state of Michigan to earn this designation. Thank you. So just to quickly summarize how we accumulated these points, the table shown is just a summary of what it would take to earn a bronze designation. There are 6 different categories in which you can earn points. The team and I have, evaluated every one of these categories, and our strongest point category was in education and incentives and government operations. So what we're doing here with trying to electrify our fleet, implementing EV charging stations here at the city campus earned us a lot of points. I will say the things that we are deficient in is regulation. We don't have any policies that mandate any EV infrastructure. So that is a goal of ours, is to start coming up with policies to require them. So as I mentioned, this entire program is funded by the United States Department of Energy, and there are 2 nonprofits that lead this effort. So representing the City of Southfield, I had to engage with the Great Plains Institute as well as the Interstate Renewable Energy Council. They hosted several technical assistance webinars that we we're able to gain a lot of information on how to obtain this designation, how we move forward as a city with EV adoption. It was very, very helpful. The staff at these 2 nonprofits were quite responsive, and I look forward to working with them so we can hopefully earn, a silver designation in the future. So some future goals, as I had mentioned, we need to establish some policies regarding EV chargers, whether it be incentives for new developments or just acknowledging that we need to establish some sort of goal to electrify, the city's fleet. We need to increase public charging infrastructure on city-owned property. It's not enough to just have it on city campus. After an inventory was performed, it looked like we have 91 EV chargers in the city, but a large portion of those are on private property. So whether it be an office building who's offering EV charging as incentives for their employees, or a business that has EV charging for customers, which is great, but we need them more in public places like parks, other city-owned properties. And hopefully after a pilot program of electrifying a few of the code enforcement vehicles, we can move towards electrifying our entire fleet. And of course, we have to continue to educate our city staff, the public, and work with students about mobility options in the city to become more sustainable. So with all of that said, I'm proud to say that at the conclusion of 2024, we have managed to earn 3 sustainability designations. We are a Michigan Green Community Gold Certified. We've been acknowledged by the Mayor's Protection Climate Center, which is it's a national organization, and now we have the Charging Smart Bronze designation. So we're going to switch gears here. Related to sustainability, we are going to talk a little bit about our food waste elimination study. This was a study that was presented to council back in December of 2023. It was authorized by council as a 100% grant-funded study that the city of Southfield would participate in for about a year. So it's concluding that 1-year mark. We wanted to provide some updates as to where we're at. So I am going to introduce Danielle Todd, who's the Executive Director of Make Food Not Waste. Make Food Not Waste is a nonprofit based in Detroit, Michigan, and they deal with all things food waste elimination, how to reduce food waste, and I'm very gracious to have worked with them throughout this process. A huge thanks to Fred Zorn and Terry Crode for supporting our efforts. So the objective of the study was, what would it take to completely eliminate food waste in the city of Southfield? That is the most extreme scenario you can get, but that was the objective of the grant-funded study. So we hope to create this model to inspire other communities to adopt food waste elimination policies, implement projects that would reduce food waste, and ultimately reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. So with regards to the state of Michigan, the My Healthy Climate Plan has a goal of reducing food waste by 50% by 2030. This plan obviously takes that to the most extreme case, which would be 100% by 2030. And with all of that said, I am going to hand it over to my co-presenter, Danielle, and she'll give you some details about what we found for the pilot study.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle Todd, the Executive Director of Make Food Not Waste. I'm so happy to be back here with you after about 9 months to give you an update on what we found. I promise we didn't go through all your garbage, but we did really a thorough review of the situation, and we're here to give you a little bit of an update. So just super quickly, here are some fun facts about the issue of food waste. It's considered by many to be pulling the emergency brake on climate change, and that's because when we put food in landfills, it releases methane, which is one of the most harmful greenhouse gases, and it's also one of the easiest things that we can do is to keep food out of our landfills. Landfills are about 30% comprised of food, so what we were working on is how we could help Southfield get to the point where you're not sending any food to landfills. This is a list of the groups that participated in the study. Just we really brought in a lot of great minds to work this out. And I won't go through all of the key learnings. I know that you have a copy of this presentation that you can always look at later. But we did find from the surveys that we did of residents were really interested in compost collection. We had a really good response from businesses as well. We learned that there are a lot of best practices around the country, around the world that we can bring to bear if and when we roll everything out here in Southfield. These are what we found to be really compelling, that if we were to get to the point where we can enact the plan that we've outlined, that residents of Southfield would see $38 million in financial savings, which is pretty incredible, and restaurants about $1.5 million. This all goes back to the amount of money that residents, this is just an average, the average Michigander spends $759 a year on food that they don't even eat. And so helping people make that connection can really put a lot of money back in their pockets and their budgets. It diverts tens of thousands of tons of emissions and millions of dollars in the social cost of carbon. So the plan, which I believe you all haven't seen yet, it's not officially done, but where we are currently, which we can make copies available to you if you want to see it, if you want a preview of the final. But it really outlines the action steps that we would recommend to make this happen. These are some examples from the plan, just to point out that look how thorough this is. So much detail. Where we are with this now is that If we go forward with implementing the plan, we would really look to our local service providers that have the skills and the competencies to roll this out. We would be looking for grants to make all the programs happen, except for curbside composting. I'll get to that in a second. And the plan is, would go for 3 years, and as soon as funding is available, we're able to begin. We have outlined the role of the city. A lot of it is really just supporting the efforts and incorporating it into city planning where it makes sense. And it would involve a food scrap collection program for residents, but that is something that I've outlined here. So you may all be familiar with the issue of priority waste, purchasing Green for Life. That caused a little bit of slowdown on our end of working with them to identify the costs associated with what it would be to do curbside composting. So we're going to be spending the fall working out all those final numbers for you, and we'll be back in January to give you the final information. This is our contact information if you want to reach out to us directly, but as I said, Suzanne can give you copies of the plan as it stands. So far, we're just really excited to be working here in Southfield, and thank you for this opportunity. What was the question? The first page?
Excuse me. The questions will be asked by the council, not the public. Thank you.
Any questions I can answer for you?
Council, do you have any questions? Or
Yes.
Councilman Cruz?
Yeah, just one question. If I saw the slide correctly and heard you correctly, you spoke about this being able to save residents money.
Mm-hmm.
How does that actually work? I'm not real clear on that.
So and this is something that happens all over the country and all over the world, there's a lot of times people will buy food and then for whatever reason they don't eat it. So it might be, you got home from work and you're tired, you don't feel like making what you bought, your greens get slimy in your refrigerator and you throw them out before you get to them. So what a lot of the work in this program that we've outlined includes a lot of resident engagement, where we would do things like work with community members, we might have classes, we might have information available online to really help people make the most out of what they buy. So the more you can do that, the more you can use up everything that you've purchased, you're actually saving money because you're not purchasing something only to throw it in the garbage. So research shows, as I was saying, that the average Michigander spends $759 a year on that kind of food that they buy, and then they just end up throwing it out. So anytime that we can help bring that number down, that money is going to go right back to people, and they can spend it on other things.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Councilwoman Haynes?
Have you made any decision to speak with the county? I know specifically there's a 4-H program that does food and nutrition and also one for seniors. Are you incorporating anything in that area? Because that's a way to really get direct with, speaking of food.
I'm sorry, you said, could you repeat that? I'm having trouble hearing you.
The Oakland County Food and Nutrition Program through the
Okay.
county, and
Yep.
also through the 4-H program, because there's a food program also with them. Are you doing anything with them?
We haven't talked with them yet, although we are participating in Oakland County's materials management planning, which is going to roll out expectations for municipalities of how they need to manage their food waste. So what's really exciting for Southfield is that you'll be ahead of all of that. So when that comes, but we have not, I don't believe we've reached out to the two
Yeah.
groups that you've mentioned. So
I
we'll.
would encourage that, because they all deal with composting and all of those things, and it almost like not reinventing the wheel, but, working together.
That's great. Yep, thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Crode?
Yes, through the chair, we have a recommended resolution that's under consent that council acknowledges the work of this program, and we want to thank Danielle and her team and Suzanne for all the work. This was a great opportunity for the city to be a pilot, and we look forward to the final plan coming back to council for adoption.
I did want to just add too that we're getting ready to start work with Westland, Livonia, Dearborn, and Farmington Hills as well. And they're a little jealous of you guys that you got to go first, but they're excited to use what we've done in Southfield as a blueprint for what they can do.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Council, we have 2 sets of minutes to approve.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move to approve the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes of January 22nd, 2024, and the regular meeting minutes of January 29th, 2024.
Support.
We have a motion by Councilman Cruz, supported by Councilwoman Hoag, to approve the minutes of January 22nd and January 29th. Any questions, council? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have our consent agenda. These items are considered routine, non-controversial, or have previously been discussed. As I mentioned at the beginning of a meeting, item G, the authorization to restore and improve the damaged fishing pier at Carpenter Lake is being pulled. Council, do you have any other items you wish to be pulled for further discussion? Yes? Okay. Would, council, is your pleasure to discuss those and then vote on all of them, or vote on them and then come back, discuss them first? Okay. The item I, authorization to proceed with the pavilion redesign space for seniors, is, your question is? Okay. That would,
I too wish we had an overall master plan, but we don't. And we're focusing these design efforts on part of the rec center and the pavilion. The scope of work is to bring OHM in to do the design. Well, it's focused primarily on the east side of the building and where it abuts Parks and Rec. You know, and if you look at it, what we did in our design for our municipal campus, we weren't really doing anything in that area other than restoring the working walls in the pavilion. I would also say that, you know, as we go through a plan like this, we have a number of documents that are part of our planning efforts. The city's master plan, the Parks and Rec master plan, and then each sub-area plan. These are grant funds. We do have a deadline that these funds need to be committed by. And, you know, I think we've been trying to figure out how to best program our space to meet the needs of the programming activities that we're doing for our seniors. You know, for example, on Wednesday mornings, there's a lecture series that's been happening over there, and I understand we're getting a pretty robust attendance. We have with us Kayam and Angie from our Parks and Rec department. Both Kayam is working in the supervisor, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting your exact title, and Angie is our senior coordinator and operates our TOS program. And I hope I answered your questions.
Michael?
The mic. Thank you.
we do real well with doing, putting down.
Move it closer to your mouth.
I never had this issue before.
So I will just announce, there are issues with the mics tonight. But they are trying their best in the control room. They are trying their best to work with our mics, but there's a computer glitch right now, so we apologize.
Okay. Well, anyway, this brings a problem of, putting the cart before the horse. And we don't tear up roads and do it, and then we come back and pave the roads once we put sewer. I think we do real well in sequencing the repair of our roads. And this hits me as being, we could make that investment in this project, and then 2 years later, simply because we are redesigning the whole campus, just waste that money. That money is wasted that was put there, and it's only the life of that money was 2 years. So it's, and it's just to make any sense. I was on the ground floor of the, I guess it was OHM's total review of our campus and the need assessment. And that came out to $165 million that it took to redo this whole campus. And I see this is jumping in there, so I don't see where, do we have a plan of what's done sequentially so that we're not spending money, then all of a sudden 2 years later we're tearing up the money we spent. So that it's just a PERT chart is just a basic sequence of events. I just wanted to see whether or not there's something there like that.
And again, this is about the design services for this particular area and that part. We believe that what we're conceptualizing, and again, we need to go through the planning process, can be complementary to those plans that have been produced. If you'll recall, prior to the pandemic, spring of 20, we were embarking on a facility study that focused on the section of City Hall we're in now, the former library, and the rec building and the pavilion. We have still focused our efforts there. We have actually built an infrastructure reserve, which Mr. Brightwell, you championed, and I'm grateful for that. $27 million is that number. We're still working on this piece. Where our plans changed is when we started the request for an aquatics facility. And our decision tree on the aquatics, we can rebuild the existing pool, $6 to $8 million, and have a pool that's used 8-10 weeks out of the year. The general consensus of the city council at that time was that was not the preferred route. Finance committee actually did, I know we toured five locations, and we went through, and ideally what we liked was a larger rec center consisting of 96,000 square feet. The cost on that was roughly a little over $60 million. Then council directed the administration to look at just an aquatics component, roughly $30 million for 32,000 square feet, and the elements of that consisted of a lazy river, a zero-depth pool, no more than 6 laps for swimming, and a workout area within that pool where you'd have the resistance for working out, zero depth. Those were the items we looked at, and new locker rooms. And we looked at punching that on top of the existing outdoor pool. When we looked at the 96,000 square foot, we had the track, we had the pool, we had workout rooms, and we had a dedicated space within that building for seniors. What we're trying, until we can figure that out, and even as we work our way through our municipal campus and the deed restrictions on it, some of you are aware in the sessions we've had on the campus, that, we are looking at the survey of this property and the deed restrictions that are on this property. And we have spoken to a private developer about adding a second sheet of ice, most recently an aquatics piece, and we're going through that process as well. But in the meantime, we're under mounting pressure regarding these grant funds and a contingency in our senior population that's looking at space programming, a space that these events can happen. Our Parks and Rec staff has spent a tremendous amount of time in developing very unique programs, and now our goal is to try to get a space that's more conducive for that to happen. But I agree 100%, the cart before the horse, but sometimes we've got to make a decision. And in this case, this is about coming back with the design that would be complementary to what we looked at doing in the Pavilion Rec and the former library, which we now call the Muddy Boots building.
Okay, I understand. And,
I mean, this is tough. I mean, because I've got different people coming in who want to do large swim facilities,
right,
not offering any resources. A group that wants to add another sheet of ice and has already been doing this, and they've actually built a gym. And so we're having these conversations.
Yeah, and I get you, and I understand and this is why I'm gonna vote no for this, but I'm not voting no against the whole package, but this one particular item, I'll be voting no because of it's to me, just, I hate using this term, but this mismanagement, why are we gonna pump something that we're gonna tear up? I'm just blowing money.
Right.
Because and so this is why I want when I go through this, I ask questions for a reason, and my questions, answers and dictate what my vote is. And based on the answer I got, I'll be voting no for this specific item, not the whole package.
Okay.
Councilwoman Hogue, you had a...
Yeah, I wasn't going to speak on it, but I would like to encourage my colleague to vote yes, and here's why I say yes. I understand everything that you said and would agree with you, and I agree with Mr. Zorn. And one of the reasons why I would support this and say we have to, first and foremost, because our seniors deserve it, and it's not their fault for the reasons why you didn't want to vote for it. It's not their fault. But I would say that, I'm going to give my reasons, is that there's a matching grant that has to be used in a certain time. So I get what you're saying, but it's like when you have your house and you want to renovate, you might want to do a lot of things, and you might just do a part of a room, and then 2 years later you get more money and you're going to do the whole house. So I would just I would ask that you reconsider, because the seniors deserve it, and we know, to my colleague, that for all the improvements we want to do here at the Pavilion, there are major reasons why we can't move forward, a lot. And so again, it's another reason why we shouldn't deprive the seniors of it. Money to be one. Two, the deed restrictions that you mentioned. I agree with you. We need to move forward and get a plan going or not, but let's not deprive the seniors of this. And you may be the only one, but I would hate to see you not support the seniors in this endeavor, because it's not their fault, and for those reasons that I stated. So I ask you to reconsider and support the seniors on this. Even though it may pass, I know that you care for the seniors, and I just think as valid as all of your concerns are, it's not their fault. That's all. Thank you.
And I've been a champion of seniors for the longest. I think I've a couple of seniors addressed me, and I brought it up to the leadership here about some of the best senior places in the metro area. They want us to try to replicate that, so. But anyway, I understand what you're saying, but I know this will probably pass, and that's why, but just from a, you know, I do ask questions for a reason. I don't ask questions just to be asking questions, to be killing time. So we may get out of here late, but as long as I make a informed, justified decision, I sleep good every night. And when I die, I slept good because I knew everything I needed to know. So this is not trying to kill time or waste time. This is for my own, justification. And I'm a former Army guy, and they instill something in me. If they wake you up at 3 o'clock in the night, what are you going to do? So there's certain things you base your life on. So this is where I'm coming from. So, but anyway, how you guys want to deal with it? It'll pass, but I want the world to know this is where I don't want to see something we just really doing something, just doing it because we're doing it. There's a method and a process, so it's done.
Councilman Hicks.
Yes, thank you. My question was kind of piggybacking off of some earlier communication that I had with the administrator regarding what are the immediate next steps related to including key stakeholders like COSA and others into the process before we get too far down the design path with OHM?
So our plans are, if we are able to move forward with OHM, and when we do receive different design plans and options back, at that time, we'll go back to our Recreation Advisory Board, we'll go back to COSA, and we'll share all this with those groups and ask for their feedback with that.
And I just want to say I appreciate you all putting this together. I think it's going to be value added for the seniors. Thank you.
Thank you.
One minute, we had another, Mr. Bright, we had a question on the failed pump at Evergreen Hills Golf Course.
Right.
And I believe we have Steve from Parks and Rec who can answer your question.
Which one?
K.
This one deals with the quality of life for our golfers, and I was trying to get to this earlier. Also,
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Can you speak louder?
This get to the quality of life for all our golfers. Which holes will be impacted, and how long will it get before the full?
Regarding the pump?
Yes.
We're not going to impact the course at all with the pump. What we're doing is we are installing a second pump that's going to stabilize the first pump. So we're not shutting the course down at all. We're just going to be adding on this pump, so we're going to stabilize the first pump. You have a three-phase pump if you want to learn all the background on it. It's a huge electrical motor. It's going to pump about 220 PSI as soon as you hit that switch. That's not good for the system. We need a stabilizing pump that's going to slowly energize the pressure on the irrigation system. Once that's done, it's going to open up another valve and slowly increase the pressure.
Okay.
If we don't have that secondary pump, we're going to blow out a bunch of heads, we're going to blow out lines, we're going to blow out another electronic valve. So it's a necessary component. What we are doing, though, this is a 25-year-old pump house. We are retrofitting this new pump, so it's going to meet the old standards that we have there.
Right.
To the new style. So whenever something does fail again, we'll be able to just quickly swap out those parts.
Okay. Well, you answered. I've reached out, and this is why no one can answer that earlier today. So you say there's no impact on the golfers playing that course?
There'll be zero impact on them.
All right, good.
Okay. Council, although I do believe we need two motions. Okay.
Mr. President, I move that we approve consent agenda items A through M with the exception of I to be done separately. I'm sorry. No, we're leaving G out, you're right. And then we're gonna leave I out as well, to vote separately.
All right, we have a motion by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilwoman Haynes, to approve the following consent agenda items. A, acknowledgement of the Charging Smart Program Award and the Food Waste Elimination Study updates. Item B, the Economic Development Initiative to schedule a public hearing for RICO Incorporated to establish a district for a commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate under PA 210 as amended. authorization to purchase a chipper for the Forestry Division, authorization to accept the Institute for Responsive Government grant. Item E, authorization to hire technicians for anticipated motor pool retirees. Item F, disposition of certain trust and agency funds. Item H, authorization to award a bid for the Losser Woods Park Improvement Phase 1 Dog Park and Parking Lot. Item J, authorization to repair the damaged playlot structures at the Freeway Park. Item K, the authorization to replace a failed pressure stabilizing pump with a valve at the Evergreen Hills Golf Course. Item L, email fraud defense services. Item M, authorization to contract OHM advisors for the professional design services for the library mechanical upgrades. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move that we approve consent agenda item I, authorization to proceed with pavilion redesign for a space for seniors.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilman Cruz, to approve a consent agenda item I, the authorization to proceed with pavilion redesign for a space for the seniors. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
One opposed, motion passes. Thank you, council.
Council, if I may, I'd like to recognize a few people here tonight.
Yes.
We have Barbara Selden here tonight.
Oh, she
I think she
stepped
just
out.
left. Well, she was here. Anyways, thank you very much for coming. And we also have two members from our Parks and Rec Advisory Board, Kathleen McNellis and Shauna Baumel. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to give kudos to our administration and to our new Director of Public Works. One of the items we approved was, we know that there's going to be anticipated retirements in our Public Works Department, and we approved some additional hiring that has not previously been budgeted in order to get those positions filled and trained, in order that there should not be any stoppage in service because we don't have the properly trained employees. So thank you both for that foresight. We appreciate it. All right, Mr. Crode, we're up to our public hearings and site plans for this evening.
Good evening again. These items were previously discussed at your study session earlier in the month. PZR 24-0009 and PSP 24-0013. Petitioner's Family Victory Fellowship Church located at 19421 10 Mile Road. Existing zoning is OS, office service, and RE single family. Proposed zoning is to make the entire site OS office service and to add a storage shed to the site. Current zoning was discussed, future land use. These are the permitted uses, including churches and related facilities, the site area. There are a few non-conforming situations that will be cleaned up as part of the site plan approval, and also the location of a new shed to help with their community food service distribution. This requires a public hearing to consider the rezoning. I'm not sure if the petitioners have anything to say now, but they'd be happy to come up and answer any questions that the council has. So the first item for your consideration is the public hearing from RE single family to OS office service.
Sorry. All right. The petitioner's not here.
I think since we spent so much time last month, the petitioners will be here to answer questions after the public hearing.
Okay. All right, this is a public hearing for PZR 24-0009, rezone 2.9 acres of land at 19421 West 10 Mile Road. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Please give your name and address for the record. All right, seeing no one, the public hearing is closed.
Again, through the chair, the current site, it has a split zoning by rezoning to all OS. It's a permitted use and helps clean up some nonconformities on the site.
Council, did you have any questions? Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I move that we approve PZR 24-0009 as presented.
All right, it has been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilwoman Haynes to approve PZR 24-0009 as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Through the chair, we need an introduction of ordinance number 1796.
I'd like to introduce ordinance number 1796.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Cruz, to introduce ordinance number 1796. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And through the chair, we have a resolution for your consideration to approve the site plan review request by Family Victory Fellowship Church to add a storage shed at 19421 West 10 Mile Road.
All right. Council, do you have any questions on the site plan that was discussed at our last meeting? All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that PSP 24-0013 site plan review request to Family Victory Fellowship Church to add a storage shed at 19421 West 10 Mile Road be approved.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilwoman Haynes, to approve PSP 24-0013, site plan review request of Family Victory Fellowship Church to add a storage shed on their property. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. All right, our next item is PZR 24-0010, request to rezone 3.07 acres of land at 25100 Northwestern Highway from B3 General Business to RC Regional Center.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Again, we spent a considerable amount of time during our study session, but for tonight, we have a public hearing regarding PZR 24-001, and then a site plan PSP 24-0015. Petitioner is Stephen Siller, Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The property is located at 25100 Northwestern Highway. Existing zoning is B3 General Business. Proposed zoning is RC Regional Center. To rezone the parcel from B3 General Business to RC Regional Center to permit the conversion of the existing hotel into a multifamily residential use for use as a Veterans Village. These are existing photos of the current hotel. Again, the site is currently B3, but it's immediately adjacent to RC Regional Center. Future land use is consistent with the city center district. Current zoning permitted in special land uses in B3. Proposed zoning, RC Regional Center. Multifamily uses is a primary permitted land use. This is the site. There'll be some minor upgrades to the site, landscaping, and then the interior first floor will be supportive services, and then a number of units. Petitioner is Tunnel to Towers Foundation. And I don't know if you have any comments you want to add at this point, but we're not going to go through the huge PowerPoint.
Sure.
Well, we'll do the rezoning, and then public hearing, you can answer questions. But if you want to add anything to my presentation,
No,
now's the time.
I have no comments.
Could you
Mr.
just
Chair.
introduce yourself for the record?
I'm Benjamin Byram. I'm an attorney on behalf of the applicant here. They're unable to make it tonight. They've been here previously. I have nothing to add. I'm just here to address any questions whatsoever, if there are any.
Okay. So we'll have a public hearing and see if there's any questions from the public. All right, this is a public hearing for PZR 24-0010 to rezone 3.07 acres at 25100 Northwestern Highway from B3 General Business to RC Regional Center. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Please give your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Council. Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439, and I am still reachable with the same phone number. I just wanted to say that I'm in total support of the rezoning request for this particular parcel. I think that America as a country is in need of affordable housing, and who better to give affordable housing to than the men and women who have served in our military. No former person or veteran that has served our country should ever be homeless. Never, ever. And even the ones that don't quite understand, that may have some issues coming back from some of the wars, and they don't understand how important it is to have housing, and maybe they've lost their way, they still need to be treated with decency and respect. They still need mental health attention. But housing is very, very important. And we have a candidate on the ballot that talked about doing 3 million houses in the United States of America to address our homeless issues. So I just wanted to say I'm in favor of this. Thank you to the petitioner for having the insight to think about our veterans, and we've got a couple of more vacant properties. Maybe you can consider doing the same thing at some of these other properties. And if you do, I'm in favor of it. And I just wanted to say that we need to consider renaming Freeway Park after Mr. Lance. We've got the Barbara Talley Way cul-de-sac.
Please stick to the
I know.
topic.
I just wanted to throw that in there, Mr. Councilman. Thank you. Sidney Lance, Freeway Park.
Any other comments?
Hi, hello, everyone. Bob Kelfan, 4287 Nicholas Drive, Sterling Heights, Michigan. As you probably most of you already know, I'm a volunteer for Tunnel of Towers here in Detroit area. In fact, I just spent the weekend. I flew home this morning from New York. We had our big 5K there. Very inspirational. Was with a lot of our veterans that, not only veterans, but families of police and firefighters that benefit from our foundation. And I just want to reiterate, like I said before, Southfield would be very proud to be a host of this facility. And we do have, quote, we have a lot of local volunteers. One of my volunteers, Shaunetta's in the back there. She's here every meeting. And we have a lot of local sponsors. It's going to be a lot of local support. And we look forward to being part of the Southfield family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I?
We still have
As administrator, I typically do not comment on planning, but I spend a lot of time and resources in housing in my role and working with the Southfield Nonprofit Neighborhood Corporation. I just want to comment, my research on this group is phenomenal. I have spent 35-plus years in dealing with housing issues, and I'm thoroughly impressed not only what this group has accomplished financially. When I took a look, and I know we typically don't look at financial issues on the planning, but when I went to the website and researched them, what they're able to do financially and what they're able to do in the social support service, you know, I welcome the partner. My closing remarks, I'm going to be talking about housing in general, but at the MML conference, housing was a major theme. Both parties have addressed housing. In Michigan, we've got 190,000 housing units short that we need to bring online. And if this, you know, providing a product for our veterans, I'm excited about this. And this group, I just thoroughly impressed with their track record, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Shawnetta Stokes. I'm here in support of the proposed rezoning. I've been a Southfield resident for over 20 years. I've also been a volunteer with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation since 2019. When I learned they wanted to have a Veterans Village here in Southfield, I was excited. I think it would be a great fit within the city as well as an honor for the city. It would be an honor for Southfield to have the distinction of being the first city in the state of Michigan to have a Tunnel to Towers Veteran Village. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation has a track record of carrying out their mission with excellence and with integrity. When they were evaluated by Charity Navigator in the areas of accountability and finance, as well as in the areas of leadership and adaptability, they earned a score of 100%. Charity Navigator also gave the Tunnel to Towers Foundation a 4-star rating, which is their highest rating, and they've maintained a 4-star rating for years. Not only would it be an honor to support those who have served and sacrificed for our country, having a Veterans Village here in Southfield would just be a great fit. It would allow us, if approved, to provide veterans permanent housing, access to a national case management network, 24/7 on-site security and supportive wraparound services within a building that is within walking distance of bike lanes, jogging trails. I counted 10 different restaurants in the area. It's right down the street from our Southfield Police Station, and it's in a well-lit area. It's near our beautiful Southfield Public Library, Parks and Recreation, and it's not that far of a commute to and from the VA Center in Detroit. Having a Veterans Village here in Southfield would be a great fit within the city, a great honor for the city, and a great benefit to our veterans who are definitely deserving of our support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on this rezoning? All right, seeing none, public hearing is closed. Council, did you have any additional questions for the petitioner? Councilman Brightwell?
I have no question, but I want to propose that, as a veteran, I propose that we approve PZR 24-0010 as presented.
Support. It has been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Cruz, to approve PZR 24-0010, the rezoning request at 25100 Northwestern Highway from B3 General Business to RC Regional Center. Any further questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move that we introduce ordinance number 1797.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilman Brightwell, to introduce ordinance number 1797. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Through the chair, our last item on this subject is the approval of PSP 24-0015, site plan review request by Tunnels to Two Towers Foundation to adapt and reuse an existing building for 85 multifamily residential units, property located at 25100 Northwestern Highway, for the following reasons. They are subject to waiver of the Zoning Board of Appeals for minimum floor area per dwelling unit and required parking, but all other site plan standards are consistent with our ordinance.
All right, Council, do you have any other further questions about the site plan? Okay.
I moved that we approve PSP 24-0015, the site plan review as presented.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Cruz, to approve PSP 24-0015, the site plan review request by Tunnels to Tower Foundation to adapt and reuse an existing building for multiple family residential use located at 25100 Northwestern Highway. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We're excited about this project, as Mr. Zorn mentioned. Also, I want to thank our planner and the documents you included, you gave us that 350-degree radius of all the property owners that were notified. I believe the council does appreciate that extra piece of information. So,
Always.
yes, please.
Thank you.
All right, next we're up to the council portion of our meeting. We have a travel expense.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I move that we approve the travel expense for Councilwoman Haynes at the National Black Caucus of Local Elected Officials in Chicago, June 25th through the 28th.
Support.
It was been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilman Cruz, to approve the travel expense report of Councilwoman Haynes as presented. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Council comments, we'll start with Councilwoman Hoag. Do you have any comments for this evening?
I do. I want to thank Councilwoman Haynes because she shared with me some of her education that she learned at the various conferences that she just attended. And one of the documents that she shared with me had to deal with National Neighborhood Week, and although it's happening right now, I think it's a good opportunity, maybe next year, make it a formal event for the city of Southfield, but it's an opportunity for neighborhoods and associations to show random acts of kindness to their neighbors and a means of just coming together neighborly and showing, you know, how togetherness we can create a vibrant and safe community. And so hopefully we can get that next year. Not sure, if I'll be on the committee again next year, but if so, I certainly want to improve that. The National Neighborhood Week was an initiative that started by our former president, Jimmy Carter, who I think's birthday is today. He's 100.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Same day as
Well,
mine.
I have a note here to say he'll be 100. And with that, then my next item was to say and wish Councilman Dr. Lloyd Cruz happy birthday, whose birthday is tomorrow. I didn't forget.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks?
I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Councilman Cruz?
Yep, I just want to say thank you. Tomorrow I'll be 50 years old. And I want to thank the city of Southfield for supporting me while I was out and down, that everybody came to check about me, call about me. It meant a whole lot. The city is a family. And so I just want to say thank you to my colleagues and to everybody else who cared to just check on Lloyd Cruz and see is he okay. So, and I'm doing better. I'm coming along. I still got work to do, but I'll be back, strong and ready to go even further. All right, so thank you. That's all I had to say.
Did you want to tell everyone where your party is?
Well, I decided not to have one because I'm throwing a party for my dad this month as well. He'll be 81, October 28th. So I stepped aside and I said, we just work on that party.
All right.
So, but, we still may have a little gathering or something at the house one day. Who knows? I don't know. It's not important to me. But thank you all.
Thank you. Councilwoman Haynes?
Real quick, I just wanted to say a few things. Starting October 4th, 5th, and 6th, the bookshelf in the Southfield Public Library is having a used book sale as usual, gently used books and really nice books. So stop by there. The times are on the library's website. Check the website for that. Also, talking about the neighborhood week, that was one of the things I learned on the conference deal. Michigan Municipal League had a conference on Mackinac Island, beautiful Mackinac Island, and it was just very, very enriching. I was able to bring back that information about the neighborhood program, and also there was also artificial intelligence and also placemaking. So many good things. It's so good to go to these conferences because you bring back information that can really help your city. We did have our partner city, Oak Park, in the runnings for the Community Excellence Award. They didn't win, but they did an excellent job, so a real shout out to them as well. As you well know, some of you, that we have a trail that connects Oak Park with Southfield as well. And a huge shout out to Miss Victoria Williams. She has just opened a new business in the city of Southfield, and it's Williams Specialty Eye Clinic. The mayor and I had a chance to celebrate with her this past week, and it was really, really nice, so just want to let everybody know about her. And also, if you get the Oakland Press, we have a celebrity in the house, Miss Rosemary Allen, who's on the front page of the newspaper. She was with us in the walk, and it was so fun, the ADL walk. The great thing about the walk was it was a walk against hate, and it would be nice to see a lot of more of our residents out there really joining hand and committing to March Against Hate. It was so nice because you got a chance to make a little sign that said why you're against hate, and it's just so important that we speak out against that. And I think sometimes some people may not even know that their speech or their tone is hate, but you know, maybe we can just take a lesson and take a step back and recognize that what we say and how we carry ourselves says a lot about what we, you know, our community and who we are. And it would be nice to see some peaceful comments and peaceful things come before us, and just also pass it along. I stress that, and hate, and also with that comes respect. So those go hand in hand, and maybe we can just share that with our community. And I think that's about all I have. Thank you, and peace, and go Lions in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Councilman Brightwell?
There are a couple things that trigger things, and the tunnel to the tower triggered to me that I went in the military at a very young age, and learned a lot of life lessons in the military, and they served me quite well since I was a teenager. But I want to just remember that Abraham Lincoln initially wrote a letter back in 1863 forming the VA. It was not called the VA back then, but his letter indicated that he wanted the government to take care of those who bravely fought for this world. He wanted to take care of their families, their wife, and their orphans, as they called them back then. So the tunnel tower just sort of brought back that memory of how valuable the military is to the United States of America. And as the chair of the Veterans Commission for about 10 years, I gave a speech every year at the Veterans Day and Memorial Day. And it was, you'd be surprised at the bravery and also just the accomplishments and the respect that the United States and its military has. But with that, any veteran who might be in earshot, or if you know a veteran, if they are in distress or if they're having issues, need someone to talk to, just dial 988 and press 1. That's a national hotline for the veterans. Thank you.
Thank you. I do also want to wish our Councilman Cruz a happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Also, Councilman Haynes and I did have a chance to participate in the walk yesterday for the ADL, the Walk Against Hate. The statistics they gave were alarming about the different groups that, unfortunately, the numbers are going up for groups that are being targeted or have hate crimes against them, different things. So, you know, everything she said I agree with, and we really do need to work together and, you know, be more respectful, be more positive, and give that positivity over to other people. This coming Sunday, the 6th, is the Walk Against Domestic Violence here at the municipal campus. That starts at 11 a.m. Everyone is encouraged to attend. I know we do a lot of walking here, but besides for the health benefits, they are definitely very good causes. Unfortunately, domestic violence is a problem, not only nationwide, but in our city as well. So we are out there. We have a lot of groups who work in the city to help the residents and our citizens against domestic violence, and we try to prevent domestic violence as much as we can with education and other services. But we do have a walk. If you sign up early and get there early, you may be able to get a T-shirt as well. But it will be definitely a great walk that is being put on by our police department. Our police chief is very passionate about this, and he will be there leading the walk as well, just like he was leading the walk this past yesterday for the Walk Against Hate. Also, I know this is early to make this announcement, but the holidays are right around the corner, and the Southfield Goodfellows are collecting donations, both items and monetary donations that can be given out during the holiday season to those in need. At the same time, if you are a family in need or know somebody who is in need, applications to be assisted by the Goodfellows is due October 17th, which is why I'm making the announcement now. Every year I always think, oh, I have till November or so, but October 17th is the deadline. If you know somebody or if you need assistance, there's clothing, there's gift cards, there's a bunch of different options they have. There are income requirements. If you have any questions, please visit the information booth that we have, the information center we have in the city of Southfield, or call our Human Services Department. They will be happy to give you an application and explain some of what is needed. Thank you very much. And with that, Mr. Mayor.
Well, good evening. First of all, I hope all of you have noticed the new recycling bins that have been installed around the campus. They're extremely attractive. And they have the feature of a pedal. So if you don't want to touch the drawer, you can just step on a pedal and the drawer opens. And one side is for non-recyclable trash, the other is for recyclable trash like glass, paper, plastic, tin cans, that kind of thing. Secondly, I want to mention that Keep Michigan Beautiful has announced that the Edge River Farm barn has won a President's Award, and they'll be honoring Dr. Menino on October 11th in Frankenmuth. We're very pleased to have another award from this association. And finally, an invitation to all of you. On October 8th at 5 p.m., Fuddruckers, to which this council granted a liquor license last year, or earlier this year rather, in January, will be having its grand opening with the remodel and now able to serve beer, liquor, and wine. Again, that's October 8th, starting at 5 p.m. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. City Administrator?
Thank you. Detroit Edison, DTE, is holding an open house on Tuesday, October 8th, 4 to 7 p.m. at Hope United Methodist Church, located at 26275 Northwestern Highway. Come and join DTE 4 to 7 to learn more about the reliability improvements and investments in Southfield, including tree trimming and upgrades and other energy programs. So again, that's Tuesday, October 8th, 4 to 7 at Hope United Methodist Church. And then I just wanted to comment, since we last here, I was fortunate enough to attend the Michigan Municipal League meeting with Councilwoman Hayes and Councilman Hicks. Very insightful sessions. As Councilwoman Hayes mentioned earlier, housing and artificial intelligence were the two big topics. And for our management team, you know, we've been obviously talking a lot about housing, but putting greater emphasis on artificial intelligence and the role that it will play in government and how we do things in the future. Still very nebulous and means different things to different people, but hearing from your peers who's doing what across the state, you can learn an awful lot. The keynote speaker was the executive director and chief operating director of the National League of Cities, Clarence Anthony. Phenomenal speaker, just a great speaker, and how he engaged the audience in telling his story, how he came to that position, and what he did as an elected official. He was the one, who really had solid remarks about housing needs in the country. Particular, his comments about both parties have adopted housing statements, and in lots of ways they could be considered a challenge to our zoning ordinances and how we deal with NIMBYism and that. The challenge that you folks take in your leadership role in making some of these tough decisions. Lots of parts of the country, they're simply not hearing these things and shutting down. Well, the feds may be stepping in and stripping or changing some of the rules we play by. And we've seen some things with RUPA over the years that have impacted us. But I think it's very important that we keep a pulse on that. As I stated earlier, the state has a targeted goal of 190,000 new homes. Southfield's doing its part in housing, but there are certain things we could probably be doing more, and I think that should be a target goal of council. I was also fortunate, as part of my continuing education requirements, to attend a 3-day conference by the International Economic Development Council in Denver. Housing was the hot topic there too, as well as what's happening with artificial intelligence and site selection. Was fortunate enough to hear the mayor of Denver speak about what's happening there, and I didn't realize it, but Denver's the second fastest growing city in the country, and the amount of growth there is phenomenal. The housing costs are terrifying, what folks are paying, in certain cases 2 and 3 times what I see as our rental and housing costs here. So very challenging for us. The last session I attended dealt with site selection. And as we see things happening with Detroit, in my lifetime, the city has never shown so well. A lot of great things are exciting. How do we fit in as a first-ring suburban community with, home to 75,000 residents and 26 million square feet of office space? I think we acknowledge that we grew up out of the civil arrests and challenges that happened in the late 60s. But how do we rebuild and replenish ourselves? After hearing the session from the site selections, I'm convinced we're doing a lot of things right, but the things that continue to make us different as a first-ring suburban community, the experiences we'll be able to offer our residents in both the quality of life. It's those excellent services, police and fire, the services that are provided at counters. But the other part, though, is what happens in our parks and our neighborhoods, and again, what makes us unique. And I'm going to, things like Carpenter Lake, the Boulder sculptures, what's happening with some of the art. When I toured and did the art tour in Denver, those are the things that are making neighborhoods great. So clearly believe we're on the right track. And tonight what we did with some of these trust and agency funds helps build that case. And also I think we need to continue these efforts, and I appreciate the leadership that this body gives us. Thank you.
Council President, if I could just add to the administrator's comment. We've had people come forward to express their concerns about rents. And I really believe a lot of this has to do with supply and demand. If there's more housing, you'll see prices decline or become more reasonable. And I think this is really the crux of it. So the things that we are doing in Southfield to add more housing, are help to address that problem. And I certainly hope that the state of Michigan meets its goal in that regard. Again, supply and demand, there's not enough housing, and so what's happened? We're seeing outrageous prices plus significant rent increases.
I'd like to remind the audience as well to, if there's any side comments, if you could please go out into the hall. Our microphones and can pick things up, and it disturbs the speakers. Thank you. All right, Madam Attorney.
Good evening. I have nothing further to add.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk.
Good evening. I just would like to add tonight that we know that the election is now upon us. Our absentee ballots initially went out this past Thursday, the 26th, 17,000. So we've been getting plenty of phone calls and inquiries about where their ballot is. So soon it will be at your doorstep within the next couple of days. Please start looking out for your absentee ballot, and please fill it out promptly and return it as soon as you can. Our county clerk even asked us really to try to help solicit early returns of our ballots. We want to prevent the triple Ds that could occur, deniers, detractors, or disruptors. We want to ensure that we have a smooth, efficient election and electoral process. One thing I wanted to mention before closing today, again, is in addition to absentee balloting, we also have early in-person voting that we are just really asking the public to come out and to our Southfield Parks and Rec Building 115, beginning October the 26th through November the 3rd. You can vote in person, cast your ballot, bring your absentee ballot. If you feel more comfortable with doing things in person, here's your opportunity a week before the official election day, which is Tuesday, November the 5th. We also have one night of early in-person voting, Halloween night, or October 31st. Civic will be here in Parks and Rec at our Southfield Pavilion from 12 noon until 8 p.m. that night. So bring your kiddies in their costumes and vote, vote, vote. I just want to say and just remind the public that 16 and 17-year-olds can register. It's just like car companies try to market to young people at an early age to pique their interest. So when they get to buy cars, they are aware of the process. So bring your young people with you to vote. Have your 16 and 17-year-olds register to vote, because believe me, they are very curious about this election, and it's monumental. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I move that pursuant to the Open Meeting Act, that we go into a closed session for discussion of strategy and negotiations connected with the collective bargaining agreement.
Support.
It was moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilman Cruz, to go into a closed session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267, Section 7, MCL 15.268C, for a discussion for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement in a closed session as requested by one of the negotiating parties. We need a roll call, please.
Thank you, Council President.
Yes.
Councilwoman, I'm sorry, Council Pro Tem, thanks.
Yes.
Councilman Brightwell. Councilman Cruz.
Yes.
Councilwoman Haynes.
Yes.
Councilman Hicks.
Absent.
Oh, I'm sorry, he has left early. Councilwoman Hoag.
Yes.
Council President Mandelbaum. We have a quorum.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. All right, Council, we will move to the